Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining the webinar series here in 2024 for Tago.io. Today we have a good one: logistics and cold chain, delivery and satisfaction. This is a large part of our customer base that are in these spaces as well. So I think we're going to have a really good webinar today. Myself, I'm David Hall. I'm a customer success manager here at Tago.io, and I also have Tiago Lima with me. He's also a customer success manager here at Tago.io. So you'll be hearing more from Tiago a little bit later, but let's get into the agenda here. Today, what we're going to talk about is how the technologies are applied in cold chain and logistics, but we're going to go a little beyond that a little bit because there's a lot just in asset tracking and those sort of areas, which are very important in daily activities in these verticals. We'll go over Tago.io concepts, as well as device and connectivity types. There's many types out there, so we're going to talk about a few of them. And then we're also going to talk about use cases and really have a really cool live demo for you. So again, as I said, thank you for joining. There is a chat. If you have any questions, feel free to ask your questions there. We'll try to get to as many as we can. And we'll get to those at the end. We'll see if there's any questions there. But before I go any further, just remember that on our website, you can always ask for a demo of our product. So if there's anything here that you want to see more of, or just anything in Tago.io that you want to see more of, please get in contact, and Tiago or I will be in contact with you and give you a personal one-on-one demo that really applies to your one-on-one use case. So they're very personal demos, and we try to tailor them to really your specific needs. So we focus on that. So let's get started here. When we think of physical and information flows, it's really about improving the flow, right? And the information that's within those flows. We'll get into that a little bit, but there's lots of moving parts, obviously, in logistics and cold chain management. And this, you can get your information manually or in real time. So, asset tracking monitors location and movement of physical assets. GPS, RFID, beacons. I even have some customers that use G-force, right? If something, gets bumped or banged or something like that, they'll get reports of that as well, and then they can go check that for damage. Additional sensors monitor the status of the assets, right? There's vibration, there's acceleration, temperature, and humidity, and really much more. It goes much farther than that. And also in these areas, there's alerts that are associated with vibration, acceleration, temperature, humidity, G-force, lots of different things. Maybe a product hasn't moved in a while and it should have, right? You can get, if there's no movement, you can get alert through Tago.io that will tell you that, right? Like, hey, this particular item hasn't moved. And really, we want to identify the inefficiencies, theft, downtime, and losses can all be addressed. And these are all very critical for businesses because they cost money, right, when these things happen. And the longer that you take to address those, right, the more money you are probably losing at that time. So it's really important, if any of these things happen, and there's much more than this, obviously, that you want to be able to react very quickly. And you could do that through Tago. Let's say you have a compressor or maybe a refrigerator on a truck that is below temperature, right? You can alert somebody in real time to go address that very quickly. Another aspect of this that's used heavily, let's say you have a compressor that's on a refrigerator. You could turn that off or turn that on through Tago.io, right? So there's lots of interactions you can do. I like to think of Tago.io as really beyond just IoT, right? Tiago's going to talk about some of this, but there's real-time analytics. There's integrations with ERP systems and so on and so forth. There's a lot you can do with Tago. So to me, Tago is not just about the visualization and the alerts and asset tracking and things like that. It really does go beyond that, right? and more accurate information feeds the management process in real time, as I was just referring to, which is critical in today's market, especially, and I'll speak to this a little more, particularly for cold chain management. If it's food products, right, there's FDA regulations that you have to follow, right? And really Togo.io and our application helps you follow those, and really gives you can have a report that maybe you need to turn in to your stakeholders or maybe a government official, where you could show that you are meeting all these requirements, right? Which is critical for your business. So we talk about supply chain in general. Typical IoT projects, I have some listed here. Asset tracking, indoor and outdoor, right? Condition monitoring, cold chain management, medical goods are definitely on the rise. And I will show you a graph on this as well. Inventory control, what is leaving, what is coming in, what do I need more of? What do I need alerts on? And those sort of things. And really shipment management is really critical, right? Because in today's world, you really need to know on demand where your items are, whatever that asset is, wherever it is in the logistics life cycle, you need to know where that is at all times and report that so you can keep track of it. Again, if you refer back to damaged goods, just knowing when it's going to arrive to give accurate information to your customers, your end users, all that is done through Togo.io, right? Through net, I've already hit on analytics a little bit, visualization. We're really going to touch on those things in all aspects on the Togo.io platform through the supply chain and asset tracking management, right? And really, when you think of connected workers, I'm starting to see a rise in this as well, actually. It's really about safety and efficiency. A simple example of that would be, I have customers that work in very large warehouses, and some of those areas in that warehouses are restricted for safety reasons, right? You need to be certified to be in that area. And you can only have a certain number of people in that area, right? So if there's more than, let's say the number's 5, no more than 5 people in this critical area of the warehouse or the distribution center. If it goes above that, you're going to know through the Togo.io platform. And you will know each person that is in that area, identified by however you choose to identify. Employee identification number is very common, right? So you know who's been in and out of those areas, not just in real time, but from a historical aspect. You can go back and look and see, okay, who was in this area at this time. So it really goes beyond, as I said, just visualization, right? So that's just one use of Togo, but it's very heavily used across all verticals, honestly. Now, if we look at this, although this is from Laura Tech from Semtech, it really goes beyond that, right? And if you think about connectivity, it can be NB-IoT, it could be satellites. There's lots of different connectivity options out there for our end users. And Togo.io, I haven't found one that we haven't been able to integrate with so far, honestly. I haven't found one. And if there's new technology out there, we're always monitoring the market. Our partners contact us. We reach out when we see new technologies, because we want to make sure that our end users, our customers, have the latest and greatest in connectivity. But this chart is very interesting. I find this chart extremely interesting, actually. If you think about it, over the last 7 years, just think about it in general, in your own life, in your own sphere, right? How much has sensors and monitoring become more and more part of our daily lives? I don't think any of us can deny that this has just become a huge part of our lives in some way or another, right? And if you look here, really asset tracking, again, we're talking about logistics, cold chain management, but it really goes beyond that. If you look here, the healthcare system has gone up 48% in the last 7 years of monitoring assets, whether they're moving around the hospital, whatever that asset is. And the nice thing about Togo.io, whatever the asset is, you can have a geofence around that. let me think of an example. A good example of that is I work with very large equipment rental companies here in the US and beyond, right? And one thing that they do with Togo, which I found very creative, but it makes perfect sense. It's simple, but it's very effective, is they will have a geofence. If they rent out some high dollar equipment, they will have a geofence around that. Let's say it's a construction yard, right? Where they're building an apartment complex or something of that sort. They'll put a geofence around that site. And if a piece of equipment enters or comes out of it, they get an alert that, hey, your piece of equipment, your tractor, your forklift, whatever it is, has left the geofence, and maybe it shouldn't, right? So that is a valid alert. So there's lots of different things you can do here, but the very interesting thing that I see about this is, if you look on here, pet tracking, right? A lot of people don't think of pet tracking. That is on the rise. I work with customers in that vertical almost on a daily basis, right? But if we look at all these verticals and sectors, cattle tracking, that's really big as well. But don't just think of it as cattle. Think of it as livestock in general, right? You can even nail it down to where how long a gate has been open on a farm. If it's open more than 60 seconds, send my farmhands an alert would be one idea of that. Indoor asset tracking, of people, I spoke about that. Again, that is on the rise. Pallet tracking, I see a lot of use cases, and I know I referred to this a minute ago, but I see a lot of use cases like if a pallet hasn't moved in a particular amount of time, they want an alert because they know that pallet should have been moved, right? That's just one tiny example. But if you really think about it, this market is growing tremendously. And Togo.io is in position and honestly has been in position for quite some time now to accommodate every one of these verticals with our application because it is so customizable, right? That's another thing that I love about Togo.io and the customers that I speak to, quite honestly, is how customizable it is to your particular needs, right? So it's very strong in that aspect. But again, this is just going to continue to grow. And I only put a couple of the sectors. I only read a couple of these sectors on this slide. There's many more than this. You'd be amazed on what people are tracking, asset tracking from that aspect. Now, if we think about cold chain management, right, it's really a story is what it is in my eyes, right? In this case, you have a farm and you have a customer. But what is happening in between those lines? Like there's stakeholders in there that need to know. So if we dig into this just a little more, right? For cold chain management, right? At the farm, right? What do you need to monitor at the farm? Well, per FDA rules, let's just use that example again. Certain things need to be at a certain temperature, right? Whether that's warm or cold. So even at the manufacturer level, whether it's a medical facility or a farm, like in this example, it is critical that you monitor those things, not just for your stakeholders, but also for your business, right? To meet regulations. It's critical. And then you monitor when did it get on the truck? Not necessarily just what the temperature of the truck is, right? We have heat maps in Togo.io that you can use. So if it's getting too hot. Obviously, your temperatures have humidity. So your sensors have temperature and humidity and things like that. Those are all very standard. But you want to know where that truck's at. So you're just not tracking, the temperature within the truck and the product within the truck, but you're actually tracking the vehicle itself. And then when it gets to a cold storage warehouse, again, same thing applies. Where is it at? What time did it get there? When did it leave? What was the temperature of that? In a very simplistic way, it goes back on the delivery truck, and then it goes to a sales outlet. Now let's talk about the sales outlet a little bit. It's already got to its destination. So as a manufacturer, I'm good. I'm like, okay, it's made it to its destination / my customer. So now everything went well, I can move on, right? But the sales outlet now comes into play, and now they're using Togo.io to really track their compressors, their freezers, their refrigerators, and so on and so forth. Again, per regulations throughout the world, they need to know in real time what's going on. But if we look at the top line here, The only difference that you see there, right, is the transfer, whether it's plane or boat. And Tago, we do have customers that actually monitor when something enters a ship. You can actually watch where it's at. Is it in the Atlantic? Is it in the Pacific? Where is it at? Right. And what is the temperature of that? And even what is its destination arrival time and location? And then it goes back down to the flow, back on the delivery truck, and then back into the sales outlet. So really, if you think about asset tracking, logistics, cold chain management, there's similarities there that Tago supports very well and is used heavily in those sectors, as I said before. So when you're tracking this stuff from a business owner or even an end customer, I track my packages, right? And it's just not through a tracking number. Some of my packages actually have sensors on it, right? Where I know where it's at all times. So it really goes beyond just the manufacturer and the sales outlet, but think of the end user, you and I, right? We want to know that whatever it is that we are receiving was treated properly, treated with care, and followed all the regulations that are needed. Tago.io does that for you, which is very strong, right? So with that, let me go to my next slide. High-level ecosystem. I'm going to pass it off to my colleague, Tiago, here. So, Tiago, it's all yours.
Thank you, David. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining the webinar again. So let's talk a little bit about the ecosystem. So David explained the flow at a low level, right? So how does it work when the truck comes out of the farm and then passes through the stakeholders, have a transfer, go to the sales outlet? So how is the architectural behind that, right? So as we can see on this diagram, on the left side, we have our end user, right, which is getting the visual indication for, could be a package, could be a particular forklift or a truck or a bus or a fleet. Our sensors, right, sending physical information all the time. So location, temperature, humidity, acceleration, battery, forwarding that information to our right side, to our gateway. And then that gateway is for forwarding the information to Tago, right? So it relays to Tago, and then you can have back and forth communication, as David mentioned before, goes really beyond IoT because you can gather these analytics, create KPIs on top of it, integrate with third-party systems, either for notification or for analytics purposes, back and forth through the enterprise. So connect with your ERP, your CRM, does your customer management, while Tago.io is doing your IoT management, right? So together with all of this, we always think, so what is the best sensor for me to use, right? What is the best technology for me to use? So hardware and connectivity is a very important point. And Tago.io has partnered up with some amazing providers out there for hardware and connectivity. There's a couple things that we need to understand there, right? So it's a matter of location, it's a matter of availability, it's a matter of use case, it's a matter of budget, right? Because you need to know your location, you need to know if you're what's the distance you have between your hardware and your object that you're tracking, right? Your network. So using the correct hardware, saying you have MQTT, NB-IoT, cellular, LoRaWAN, right? Each hardware will be applicable, will be more or less applicable to your own use case, right? And then you have Bluetooth, Sigfox, all these guys. It's a matter of studying your case, understanding what is the best network and the best hardware for you to use. It's a homework that we can help you to understand. We can help you. We can shed some light over there to instruct, and also provide you on our website some partners that we already have communication with, that we already have validated their devices and their connectivity, and it should be a 1, 2, 3 step to contact them and get your use case ready to go. So let's talk about a little bit about use cases now. So this is the one of the highlights of the webinar, right? So where am I going to apply the logistics, and how can I use that on Tago? Some of the features that we can talk about, right? So let's talk about pallets usage and optimization. And on my live demo, I'm going to show you how that looks like in practice. How can I do, how does the warehouse looks like, and the to track pallets or products or parts, and how would the cold chain would look like. Of course, in a couple different a random scenario, right? But stay tuned, you're gonna like that. Intercompany transfer. So you can track pallets indoor, outdoor. You can create geofences inside a particular warehouse by uploading the floor plan. Once you have the floor plan on widget, you can then pinpoint your geofences and set particular alerts for those geofences. For example, you set a geofence on top of a shelf, and then you want to identify if a product enters that shelf or if it leaves that shelf, for how long has been sitting there, because one important thing that we need to know is the dwell time, like we say in the KPIs, right? If the companies out there, the big manufacturers are not tracking this, they may be susceptible to losing a lot of money, because nobody wants equipment sitting in the warehouse for a long period of time, especially if you're talking about groceries and things like that, right? So the equipment has to be moving all the time. That's how the revenue comes, and that's the type of analytic that you can get. So the material comes in the warehouse. You know when it came. You know where it is inside the warehouse, for how long has been sitting there, and when it leaves, right? So the geofences help us to trigger such alerts and KPIs. When it is in transit, indoor and outdoor. So not just when the equipment arrives, but you can combine both solutions. Once a particular equipment arrives in the warehouse and it's at a minute, then you can track it from the inside, and the same way around, right? So it gets from the provider, the supplier delivery truck, and it goes out on your delivery truck to supply to a sales outlet or a truck or a company or a customer. And you are able to track all these variables throughout its route, right? Until it reaches the final destination. So you get departure times, you get arrival times based on that. Like I mentioned before, integration with SAP, ERP, CRM. So getting all these data, doing your processing, your analytics on Toggle, sending to someone else, you pick. It's your choice. Like David mentioned before, we haven't found anything that we were not able to integrate before. Had some challenges, of course, but this is what is made for, right? We gather your IoT information, the physical information, we process that in an IoT visualization dashboard manner, and we send it out. We keep it there. As you know, you can create a custom portal inside Tago.io, as I'm going to show in a little bit. So you can have your data inside Tago. You can unify different solutions inside Tago and display it over there as well. Sending to SAP and ERP would be feasible in case you want to generate billing, you want to generate POs or different reports that you don't see that it would be feasible on Tago, but definitely possible. Admin and custom user access. So imagine that you have a solution, but not just for one customer. You can have one RTLS solution for multiple customers, right? So let's say you're working with the fleet right now. If you use Tago.io, especially talking about our RTLS, you have the possibility to manage multiple customers at the time. So you won't be tied up to only one customer, one portal. You could have on the scale plan today up to 10 profiles. That means that you can have up to 10 different applications going on. You can have the same customers inside one application by applying admin and user access rules, which is identifying who's going to see what, right? And separate that inside your application. You can create white labels for your customers and for yourselves. You can have a generic solution that will work for you, and you can have a twin solution, but white label for your customer inside your account in which you manage. So that can be very powerful for companies out there that it's working with different customers, same use cases, or vice versa, working in different cases in different verticals, and has the need to englobe all them and under an account, under a manageable account. And our next use case is shipment information for cold chain. So this is very nice. I'm actually we have another slide where I can show the left dashboard a little bit, because that is very powerful for logistics, because provides your customer with the visual perspective of what's going on. It's not just a table with a million numbers and a lot of information that is just a matter that you have to export to Excel and then work one by one. Here, this is information to take action right away, right? This is what this is for. So talking about cold chain, and I'm going to come back to that. Managing all shipments in real time. So you can have a fleet, like I mentioned. You can have all your shipments listed on the table, check arrival times, check a particular custom calendars that you can you can have a map with all your shipments, what are their real position, real location. That's very common with us. Focus on deviation and compliance. So drivers, right? If the driver is on a route where he wasn't supposed to be, if he's not compliant in such manners as speed or brakes, right? Like a hard stop. So these things can be tracked through its designated sensors, and we can capture that information, send alerts, and be on track of everything that's been going on with the shipment, with the driver, temperature, humidity of the cargo, the packages, and make sure that it's on time, right? Cold system failure. So let's say you, as a supplier, you put your groceries on the truck to be delivered, and you see that the AC is on, and when it gets there, it's on, but you really wouldn't know if something happened in the middle if you don't have IoT to monitor that, right? So imagine someone going across the country. Let's say it's going from Vermont, which is super cold, all the way from Florida, which is fairly hot, right? How would you track if your equipment or your package has been within the threshold that it was supposed to be? So we have a widget here that I'm going to show you that is also on the left side that will let us know the variation, and will let us know what was the maximum temperature that reached, the minimum, and the average, right? And also possibility to integrate with SAP, ERP, help desk, and some other features for notifications such as Telegram, WhatsApp can be used to notify depending on the case, right? So let's talk about the Kickstarter and some tools that we have to help you there. So with our Kickstarter, you can track devices indoor and outdoor. As I mentioned, you can combine both solutions in one and englobe multiple customers inside the solution. You can have entities such as sites, locations, customers, rooms, and you can create geofences within these entities. So if you have a warehouse and you need to manage different locations, get notifications on particular shelves or rooms that you have, that is ready to go. You can set alerts to be sent by email, SMS, push notifications. Like I said before, integrate with third parties, send to WhatsApp, send to Instagram, whatever people is using the most right now, right? Export historical data, right? So you can, for example, create a dynamic table, receive all your variables from your device, set to be sent historical data automatically by email every 30 months, every 30 days, every 3 months, whatever is more feasible, right? Integrate with third parties, provide access controls for users and organizations. So like I mentioned before, you can have multiple customers inside the application and multiple entities inside a customer. So a customer could have different locations. Inside the locations, you can have different sites. Inside the sites, you can have rooms, and finally sensors, right? So having the entity separated in this manner helps you to maintain your application organized, and very well understandable by the end user. And apply your BI for advanced analytics for KPIs and things like that, right? So data visualization, let's talk a little bit about that. So this is what I was talking about before. Here we see indoor map on the left side, and on the right side, we see the outdoor map, right? So that means that my product is currently on pallet 248, as we can see it on the yellow pin over there, on a particular shelf sitting on my warehouse. By the time this pallet leaves the warehouse, it's going to start moving on the right side, and I'll be able to check it through GPS. So combining both solutions helps supply chains to not be tied up to different solutions to do one thing, right? Which is track the product. You can track the product when it leaves the farm, for example, all the way to dropping in one warehouse, other truck comes, picks up, drop to other warehouse, other trucks picks up, brings to the sales outlet. So that's very powerful, right? Unifying the solutions and bringing in one all together. So this is a very hot topic as well. As I mentioned before, this dashboard represents a lot. And why? Because here I have a widget that is not native on Toggle. It was built, right? It was built inside Toggle. It's a 3D widget. And we can see on my right side there, the days of the week. So as you can see, Saturday, Friday, Thursday. And on the left side, we can see the times of the day, right? So why is that good? Because I can manage my fleet in a sense that I can check which day and time of the day my drivers will be more busy. So what will be my action here? To better distribute my shipments, right? Not put everything in a day, not leaving an entire day without anyone using the roads or fulfilling my schedule, right? So I need to put urgency shipment. How am I going to know when it's going to be the best date and time? I cannot just randomly just say, here, pick this and go. I have statistics to tell me that, right? So this widget tells me what is the best time of the day to do this and what is the best day of the week. So that's our first widget on the left side. Our top right, we can see a box plot. And that is what I was mentioning before. So we have a widget that tells us during that shipment time, what was the maximum temperature reached? What was the lowest temperature that reached? And what was the average? What information am I trying to provide to my end user here? If he's going to be able to accept his merchandise or not. And if he has a box plot here that tells him that certain grocery shipment or vaccines or medication or anything like that has to be within a certain threshold, if that is red, has the red circle over there, it means that shipment has been out of range. That means it has been either too cold or too hot. So the customer would have to write to say, no, I can accept this because it was outside my range. You can also receive alerts once that happen, right? Naturally. But this is also used for historical statistics for all my shipments, right? So shipment 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm able now to see what was the high and low. So I can guarantee to my customer here, you can use this. And whenever you see the red dot over there, keep in mind that one or more of your shipments may have been compromised and you may need to take action on that. So you can take action immediately. In the bottom one, the calendar, it's also the flows of shipment that I have, days of the week on my column here, right? On my x-axis and my y-axis, I see July, August, September, October. So it's a visual calendar for me to see. I need to put 20 shipments, different locations. So what is my the day that I am most free is the yellow ones, right? So I'm be able to comfortably go and put there my yellow shipment date, Monday, July, because I know that that'll be a good day to send my shipment out. So this is a very good widget as well. So moving next, combining all this on the palm of your hand is definitely a plus, right? White labeling even better. This creates a very powerful brand. Say that you can do that to a computer might be good, but as we know, logistics, it's all about people going up and down, except headquarters, right? Headquarters don't go anywhere. They stay there, but we always have people on the field that are looking for getting the information also. Let's say the driver could be able to have access to put his notes on a particular shipment, right? And receive alerts on top of that. So having a mobile app, you can have it for free at first, right? You can use Toggle Run for free if you build a solution. And then later on, you can white label it. You can put it as your own brand, deploy it to Google Play or App Store, your own app. So that energizes a lot the brand and adds a lot of value to it, right? All right. So let's go to the live demo. But before I go to the good stuff, I'm going to just shortly show you guys how you can reach me or David. Like he mentioned here in the chat, we'll be more than happy to talk with you and understand more your case. So if you open our website, toggle.io, you see request demo here. Don't wait for it, press it. We'll be glad to talk to you. Also, if you like this webinar, if you are into supply chain and logistics, I'm going to give you a hot tip right here. If you go to features and then you go to dashboards, you can have a supply cold chain template ready to go. Create a free account on Toggle. Scroll down a little bit. You're going to see here refrigerated, truck tracker, and telemetry. So just a little perk with this webinar, get this one for free. And finally, how does it look like on practice, right? So I see it right here. This is my Kickstarter, right? I created a cold chain webinar. I modified that template that I showed you just now a little bit, just so it looks more jazzy. It combines a little bit more with my own application that I built here. And here you can see, oh, there we go. A thermometer just went out. It looks like the back of the truck here that I'm tracking is red. So that's not good news. I have a news here. Back zone is hot, right on time, right? I can see the temperature of the 3 zones that I'm monitoring in real time, and I can see the historical data here as well. So as it goes up and down, I understand that this driver is probably going through some hot and cold zones. But so far, so good, right? I can see on the right bottom side here, when a trip begins, when a trip is ended, all the alerts. So if one or more areas are hot and or out of zone, right? So out of range. And I can see my little truck here going back and forth on the United States. doing its travel as it goes from one trip to another. And like I mentioned before, this is for my entire fleet. Now I have truck one and truck two, but I can have more trucks here. So truck one is okay. Truck two also, I have my statistics going on there and my map and its trajectory. So this is very amazing to have because you can have different fleets for different companies, for different distributors. You can create multiple entities over here on the top. So you can grab, for example, fleet one, fleet two, fleet three. Each one goes to a designated place or a particular target, right? So I can separate and distribute my dashboards to my customer, providing access to them accordingly, right? All right. So I just wanted to close this section with you guys, show a little bit how it works on practice. And now I'm going to pass my word to David so he can give us the final regards.
Thank you, Tiago. Love the live demo, man. Your dashboards look awesome, man. Very
Thanks,
similar
David.
to what our customers are using today. So great demo. I appreciate that. So today we went through quite a bit of information, right? You're starting to get an idea, if you're new to Tago, that there's lots of things you can do on Tago. It's extremely customizable, as I referred to, and Tiago as well. So again, ask for a demo, reach out, let's connect, and really move on. Just to reiterate what Tiago said about the free templates. Go on our website, create a free account, and grab yourself a template. Once you download those, you own them, just as Tiago did. He downloaded a template and he modified it, right? I do the same thing. So you own them. You can do whatever you want with those templates. So I like that perk that we have today that Tiago mentioned for you. And there's lots of other things we could show you. Honestly, we scratched the surface here, but I think we were effective in getting the message across to you. Also, we have a free learning center for you where you're very big on self-help here at Tago.io. So we don't just have these webinars to try to give you insight, but we also have the learning center. We also have how-to videos. There's lots of things on there to really help you get started with Tago.io. And of course, the CSMs, Tiago and myself are always here to help you. With that, one last note. In February, don't know the date yet, but I've been hosting some live training sessions, and Tiago also assists with that. We're going to have another live training session for developers, an immersive training session. More will come out on that. I'll make sure to send it to all the attendees on this webinar just to see if you're interested for that. But that's also another exciting thing come up. But thank you for joining our first webinar of 2024. I think we kicked it off right. Thank you, Tiago. And with that, hopefully we talk to everybody soon. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone.